Welcome to Better Futures.
That's so sweet. So that would be, I guess, the beginning of grassroots mutual aid. Not even organizing, just sort of becoming acquainted with your neighbors as members of a particular vanguard and developing class consciousness through
Yeah.
ongoing interaction.
Yeah, I mean, I think the labels and the names of the activity are less important than the activity itself. You can build, and you don't even need to make a party. If you are having, I mean, if you live in a low-income community like mine, there are examples of tenants unions that have formed in the past. And these are excellent organizations that are started by the tenants themselves, and these are advocacy groups. They allow the tenants to fight unfair decisions by the landlords to actually get their rents reduced to a fair level. The only example I can think of right now is the Omaha Tenants Union. I don't have any place to tell you where to go, but if you just Google the Omaha Tenants Union, you should be able to see some info on what they've done in the past.
Great, thank you for the tip. All right. Well, okay. So that does sort of take me to my final question because we've established a sort of ideal, like we'll just call it the better. We were calling that the perfect is the enemy of the good. The better would be the sort of regard for one's neighbors that would allow something like a tenants union to develop and to flourish.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to ask what sort of forces are in operation in contemporary American society that encourage the mistrust between neighbors and encourage in particular mistrust of one's own fellow class members?
It's another awesome question. And so I almost feel like it would be easier to list the things in America that aren't geared towards that than to list all the forces that are. I mean, mistrust is a really useful tool in adversarial conflict. You know, if you have an enemy and your enemy has a friend, you don't want your enemy to trust their friend. You would love to sow just mistrust amongst them. The FBI is actually pretty famous, pretty infamous even, for the amount of mistrust they sow among political leftists, radicals and whatnot. It's one of their hallmark tools because they don't have to get their hands dirty. So that's actually, it's a really great thing that you bring that up because that's one of the biggest threats to having any sort of organization right now is the mistrust people have, and that we have such a difficult time vetting each other. And the FBI and other intelligence groups have exploited this weakness in human communications for decades and decades. It's the sort of thing, I mean, it's what got Fred Hampton killed. It's every Black revolutionary killed. It's that the trust. It's impossible to vet everybody. So what are the forces that are sowing mistrust in America? Well, there's the intelligence communities, there's the government itself. Capitalism also makes a lot of money off people mistrusting each other because when people don't trust each other, they need to buy all kinds of bullshit to protect themselves. Fences, lights, security cameras, guns, lots of guns. I mean, I advocate for gun ownership, especially for communists. I own a pistol, which I know how to use. I advocate safe gun ownership and responsible, obviously. But there are people who buy guns that they are never going to use, that have no practical use in this country, and lots of them. But that might be something else psychological. But people, I mean, like, mistrust is what people need to buy things. Because if you don't trust people, then you need things. There are only two things that you can really invest your time into. You can either care about other people, or you can buy enough stuff so that you never need people. And obviously we know which one is definitely the better move. But mistrust will erode that feeling that people are going to back you up. And it's a great selling point. Other things that sow mistrust, media, I don't know. Like I said, it's probably easier to list the things that make people trust each other, which I guess I could mention briefly would probably be things like, well, mostly like some of the church community. There are a lot of awful churches, but there are also a lot of really great churches, which are also hotbeds for revolutionary activity around here.
Right. Wow, that I have to say that was an unexpected answer.
No, I just went to a church the other night because they have a free clinic. In fact, if anybody watching this is from the Minneapolis area and you need free health services, go to Phillips Neighborhood Clinic. It's at, oh goodness, I can't remember the church, but if you Google that, it's on Mondays and Thursdays, 5:30 to 9, completely free medical services. It's U of M student doctors. They have a pharmacy, but that's held inside a church. You know, there are churches that are really out there doing what the Communist Party should be doing.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that resource with my smattering of viewers. Seriously.
Yeah, they're really excellent. I get a lot of help from them. I just had a bunch of blood drawn for tests. I fainted and had to lay on the ground, but they were really great help. And they also have a food shelf there. So it's kind of a one-stop shop if you're poor and you need help.
Great. Well, I may need to show up there sometime soon myself. We'll see.
Awesome.
So that really does cover the majority of my questions, I suppose. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, just be a good neighbor. I really appreciate you having me on. Thanks for interviewing me and asking my thoughts. I really appreciate the chance to share.
Thank you for joining me, and thank you for that final call to action. Be a good neighbor.
Excellent. Well, then I'll talk to you soon. All right, Zach.
Take care, Kevin. Thanks.
Thanks.
See you.
Bye.